Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. So we're just going to jump straight in here. We have stuff covering a decent number of topics, but we'll start with this. Variety here have an article talking about basically Avatar at New York Comic Con. So obviously we have most of the details on this already because we have all the panels announced for New York Comic Con. It's just we didn't get the same sort of equivalent press release that we had prior to San Diego. But now we sort of, it seems like, have that because there is information here that isn't on the New York Comic Con website. So yeah, you can see here, Avatar The Last Airbender cast plus Korra voice actor to reunite at New York Comic Con as new toys and games are revealed. I think they kind of buried the lead a little bit here with the headline in that I'd be like, the fact that Bryan is going to be at the same panel is probably the bigger news than just the cast reunion, which basically happened at San Diego Comic Con and has happened at most of the conventions over the convention season. So anyway, I think that kind of highlights they're probably basing this off a press release. But anyway, interesting to see a Variety article actually mention the merchandise panel. It's especially weird because this was such a non-event at San Diego Comic-Con to the point where we don't have a clue what was actually mentioned at most of this panel at San Diego. The description for this panel is exactly the same, so unless there actually is plans for major reveals, I'm not really sure what the deal is here. They do say like toy lines set to debut over the next year, which would technically bring us up to like the weeks leading into the movie, so that theoretically should maybe have movie toys on the schedule. But they're not going to reveal that if they haven't even revealed officially a single visual for the movie full stop. So I don't really have too many high expectations for this, but we'll see what they do. Jazzwares do need to properly detail Wave 1 and probably confirm what's next. So hopefully we get coverage of this is the main thing. But the big news is this. On October 12th, they're going to have the 20th anniversary panel, which is going to have... And this is the other thing about this, is like they do mention it down here. I wish they would just more directly kind of quote the information from the press release rather than editing it in this way. But either way, we have most of the voice actors. Interesting. Katara is going to be here, Mae Whitman. But to me, the kind of headline here from a news perspective is that Bryan is going to be on the panel as well. Now, interestingly, it's Bryan, but no Mike. So the two of the creators are not going to be there, but one of them is. That at least is a good sign in terms of like, Bryan on his own could reveal something. He's the more kind of art focused of the two. If they have to show off a visual, he's the right person to do that with. That makes complete sense. Do I think him being there confirms we're going to get something? I'm not sure. But certainly it gives you the hope that they could. Whereas if it was just voice actors, you're kind of like, I suppose you could give it to Janet Varney to reveal. They've done that before. But it feels better when Mike or Bryan are the ones actually doing the reveals. I think that the hope is back on the table for the big panel. They're doing it in the big main stage, so it's the right place. There's going to be attention on it, and that's a pretty good thing. The one thing in comparison to San Diego is that the panels are kind of reversed. Like I think the last panel was the merch one here, but the merch panel's going first this time out. The big anniversary panel was up first at San Diego. It's the last of the big panels for Avatar at this convention. So we'll see if that means anything. But like I said, they're on the main stage, so it seems set up pretty perfectly for them. Then, this is kind of what we were waiting for. The booth. The Avatar booth will host daily activities throughout the convention. Photo opportunity for the boy in the iceberg, 20-foot tall iceberg that depicts Appa and Aang, a Wulong Forest activation, of course, and some of this is pretty similar to what they had at the San Diego Comic-Con, so that's all fine. Augmented reality kind of stuff, of course. Posters and giveaways will be happening, and then this is just details. So yeah, they do mention down here that, they did have news at San Diego. They don't speculate, of course, about if there will be news at this one. But again, remember in the lead-in to San Diego Comic-Con, none of the articles were really doing speculation either. It was mostly a fan thing. But the idea is that news at a big convention is something that they are doing. So I don't know. Obviously, the interesting position that we're in is that we have a visual for Seven Havens, but no date or logo. We have a logo and a date for the movie, but no visual. And so it's just this weird situation. We also have some voice actors for the movie, but then we don't have voice actors really for Seven Havens. And it's just this weird situation where like we don't have almost like equivalent information for both of the projects at any kind of stage. So it'll be interesting if they were to do any of that stuff. The most obvious thing would be like if they could reveal like an image for the movie here. That would be super cool, because again, it's going to get us past the timing of this convention is going to be just at the point basically where we're a year to go until the movie. So the timing is pretty nice if they want to do something like that. And then they still have room, even with just one image revealed, to do a lot more as we go into next year and stuff like that. I think the situation here is just that please don't miss this opportunity to continue the conversation, a big opportunity to reveal some news. I think they will take it. I think there should be some level of confidence because they did news at San Diego, that because one of the creators is here and they're basically doing the equivalent panel. And as much as, they obviously highlight the cast and crew here, the voice actors are kind of pretty well-known quantities for Avatar. They've been really active for years, and especially this year. So, like, I don't think there's any particular real hype around, like, this particular grouping. I get it, they're maybe trying to go for the idea that I guess this will be the first one with, like, where you have Mae Whitman and, I guess, Bryan maybe together, but that only means so much. I think the focus should definitely be on the reason we're kind of hyped for the anniversary this year is not just because it's 20, but it's also the year before Avatar Studios and the stuff gets going. So there is that. Moving on, this is just another Avatar TCG accessory. So again, on the distribution website they have here, so Serious Dice Magic the Gathering Avatar 55mm spin down D20. Now we do have a picture of this. It's not amazing, but we do have a picture of this. I'll get to it in a second. So it's a 55mm spin down D20, and so on. It features the iconic moment of Aang and Appa frozen in the iceberg, a striking display piece. And here's what it looks like. So you can see here, it is in fact Appa and Aang in the iceberg, with the iceberg being the D20 spin down counter. So it's actually a really cool thing. And again, 55mm dice. That's a big dice. So like that's going to be like pretty wide, like that'll kind of fit in like most of your hand here. So it's going to be like a pretty expensive thing, but I also think it's a very unique display piece, kind of full stop overall. One of those ones where like, hey, if I can pick this up for a decent price, I might get it, just because like I do like TCG accessories, and you know what, a big D20, that seems kind of cool to track your life in Magic, but just to kind of be aware that that is happening. So that's cool. But from there, we'll get into just some basically reminders about publishing stuff that's happening. So today, September 16th is the release date for this product. This is the Fire and Family Treasury boxed set. Again, it is just the 3 individual copies of these books in a box. You do get a poster though. It's out today and also tomorrow for comic book stores. Not too much to say about it. I will not be getting this because, of course, we know that they are doing other editions of this. We already have the confirmation they are doing a library edition of this very same book. So it's the hardcover version, and it's coming in June next year. And even though we don't have it officially announced, we basically know we're going to get an omnibus edition of this very same book at some point, I guess, after June 2nd. It'll probably be a good, 6 months, maybe to a year later again, but it still will be something that is happening. The problem, of course, is that when we got the first one of these, Team Avatar Treasury, we didn't know that they were actually going to do hardcovers. Now we know, so I do think there's not as much of a need to focus on this particular product, but just be aware that it is out if you are interested. The other thing I'll mention here, just in case I don't get around to doing another news video before next week, is that next week, September 23rd, so next Tuesday, is finally the release date for Beasts of the Four Nations. So, at long last, this Avatar animal art and lore book is finally going to be coming out, and that includes also the deluxe edition. So if you are waiting to finish your deluxe set with the 6th book here, you'll finally get your opportunity next week. I will be getting this book. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get it like day one. It might be maybe a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday thing before I actually properly get around to it. But, you know, I'll do coverage on this when it actually does come out. So finally we'll get a proper look at this. Though I do think we kind of know what the book is and what it isn't based on the preview pages, and maybe the expectations for it have come down quite a bit. But that is just the unfortunate situation there. So we'll talk about this and we'll see how the finalized book actually goes when we get to kind of read it start to finish. But yeah, that is next week. So that is the news for now. Again, I do want to highlight the original kind of the main piece of news here, which is, I think, kind of, they got the kind of headline wrong a little bit here. I do think Bryan being there is probably the bigger news in all of this, just because we basically knew the other information already. They are doing a kind of convention display just as big as the other one. So it seems to basically be a repeat almost of San Diego Comic-Con. And to make that repeat kind of finalized, a piece of news would be very, very nice coming out of this. So that is exciting. Again, the specific panel is happening on October 12th. It's a bit later on in the convention, but that's when the news hopefully should be coming out of this one. So that's the kind of one to keep an eye on. It's obviously just less than a month away. But this is the next kind of, I suppose, big date we're looking towards as Avatar fans, is hopefully at this particular panel they deliver. The full lineup, just to quickly go over this before the end of the video. Thursday, October 9th is the merchandise panel. Then Friday, October 10th, they have the photo op thing, which I suppose if you're attending the event, this is your opportunity to meet the voice actors who are going to be there. Also on Friday, October 10th, is the merchandise panel, which wasn't mentioned in the Variety article, but again, we do expect news to happen at this. I will quickly mention, though, that they do have the lineup here, so you can see Judy Lin, Cara O'Neill, James Mendez-Hodez, and Randy Rabai. So, still no comic creators at this, which is a little bit unfortunate. Cara O'Neill is going to be the Dark Horse representative. James Mendez is from Magpie, though again, I don't know what they're going to say. Otherwise, it seems like Abrams is taking the focus here. Judy Lin being here, I guess, a couple weeks, months after City of Echoes is kind of interesting. Does that maybe give you hope that, like, or whatever, that she might be doing book 2 of Avatar Legends? I'm not sure. It'll be a weird one to see what exactly they do. That would be the announcement that I expect on the novel front, is that, yeah, like if you don't do it here, it's just going to get announced via listing. So you probably should do the early announcement of what Avatar Legends Book 2 is. Otherwise, like, we're kind of just waiting for, like, the build-up to Awakening of Roku. I'm not sure what else they can really say about that here without kind of giving away spoilers. I'm guessing the full description for the book will have to probably come out in or around New York Comic Con. I'm really surprised we don't have the full description yet, only the one-line one from San Diego Comic Con. But yeah, Dark Horse have to deliver here. The fact that they almost kind of put out hidden news about the Kaya comic and the Kyoshi Warrior comic, they need to detail that properly here, like in a really big proper way, where like they have listings up, clear details on what's going on here, especially because the Kyoshi Warrior comic looks like it's going to be single issues for the first time, and that could be a little bit of a awkward thing to have to explain to Avatar fans. But anyway, there's that. They have another kind of photo opportunity on Saturday with the voice actors, of course. Then you have the big anniversary panel. Interestingly, Bryan isn't listed here, but he is, of course, in the kind of press release, of course. There's another photo opportunity with the actors on Sunday. Then there's the fan meetup thing, which isn't like fully official, like it's just a fan meetup. And that's the situation there. So there's a lot of Avatar stuff going on. It really is just on, like, whatever they do with the merch, I hope we actually get coverage of it, because you at least have Magic the Gathering and Jazzwares, plus whatever else. That's exciting. Publishing, there's definitely some announcements to come out, for sure. And then, again, if they don't have news here, in a way, what really are we doing with this panel that's different than any other convention? Why is it on the main stage if it is just the actors? That's kind of my thoughts on this. But yeah, that is the video. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are. What are your expectations for New York Comic Con, now that we know at least one of the creators is going to be at the 20th anniversary panel? And then do you have any thoughts on any of the other stuff we also discussed? But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.